all of Latin America. The United States mobilized more than 4,000 military
Let me see.
Earlier today, Venezuela announced the deployment of drones, soldiers, and a number of naval vessels to counter what they believe is a coming U.S. military operation with a goal of regime
my
change.
Jesus.
So let's get into what we know. Starting off, this video was shared by the Venezuelan defense minister, according to some reporting in CBS News in an article titled, "Venezuela deploys warships, drones after U.S. sends guided missile destroyers to the region." Quote, in a video on social media, Venezuela defense minister announced a significant drone deployment, as well as naval patrols along its Caribbean coast, including larger vessels further north in our territorial waters. Venezuela's defense minister.
Oh, I see. Venezuela. Okay, I was like, what the fuck?
Patrino Lopez ordered the deployment of drones, naval vessels, and 15,000 troops to border waters and rivers, reacting to U.S. warships in the Caribbean. Caracas, the capital of Venezuela, labeled the presence of a U.S. nuclear submarine a, quote, grave threat to regional stability.
Why is there a nuclear submarine, bro?
How will the U.S. destroyers and strike group face the Venezuelan military and the cartels?
Why? No,
We'll take a
how?
look at
Why are we
different
doing...
scenarios.
Why are we doing how? We're doing why. Why? Let's do this one.
Al Jazeera
This is a-
podcasts.
Today, why are American warships sailing towards Venezuela?
Yes, why?
The
Please,
U.S.
tell me.
is deploying destroyers and thousands of Marines towards Venezuela as President Trump looks to crack down on cartels and the Maduro regime.
With Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro calling on citizens to mobilize to defend the country, what's behind Trump's latest move? I'm Kevin Hurton, and this is The Take.
My name is Alessandro Rampietti. I'm Al Jazeera English correspondent in Colombia, and
Colombia.
I'm talking to you from the capital of Colombia, Bogota.
Bogota.
Well,
Hola.
let's start with what's happening right now. Let's just jump right
Gusto.
in. As we
Mucho
speak,
gusto.
American warships and thousands of troops are sailing to the southern Caribbean outside of Venezuela.
3 U.S. destroyers carrying Marines are heading in the direction of
4,000
Venezuela.
Marines.
According to the White House, the mission is to target drug cartels that traffic narcotics to the United States.
What is the official line on this? What is Washington saying?
Well, Washington has said some things, but we don't know everything that's happening and what's the goal, the real goal behind this huge deployment of ships to the Southern Caribbean. We know that it all started with a still secretive directive on part of President Trump, essentially allowing the military.
With this administration, secretive directives with the military, that's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. That's a sign of danger. Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
And the Navy to start operating against drug cartels in the Caribbean and against a number of criminal organizations that the US is now considering terrorist groups. Among them, this alleged drug trafficking group called the Cartel de los Soles, or Cartel of the Suns, that, according to the US, is a
heard
major
of it.
drug cartel
Cartels of the
operating
Suns.
out of Venezuela that has Venezuelan
believe it.
military and political figures, including the president of Venezuela, Nicolas
Maybe I
Maduro's
believe
part
that.
of it. The issue is we don't know exactly what they will be doing, except for some generalities like intercepting drugs, doing intelligence in the region, but there are no specifics so far. It's also unclear why you need a warship to go after small ships moving cocaine across the Caribbean.
Yeah, three.
Right, so you said a lot of
three.
this
And
is
a
still
nuclear
shrouded in
sub.
mystery, but we
And
do-
by the way, when they mean by nuclear sub, that means it has a nuke on it, ready to go. Like, I probably means it has multiple nukes on it, ready to go. And all it needs is a call. Ah, man, why?
We can read into it by looking at the deployment. And this is very serious stuff. I mean, Trump is bringing serious land attack capabilities to this part of the world, isn't he?
Absolutely. We know that there are major warships that are moving towards, we understand, the island of Curacao, which is right in front of the coast of Venezuela. We also know that another island there, Trinidad and Tobago, which is even closer to Venezuela, is also part of this operation. We understand that also at least one nuclear submarine would be involved, and Marines would be part of this operation.
President Trump hasn't ruled out anything, says his spokesperson.
He's prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice.
Trump's relationship with Maduro has been strained since, his first term, and it's only gotten worse in the second, much more belligerent. So they're accusing Maduro really of two things. One, that he's a drug trafficker, and the other is that his government is illegitimate.
The Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. In Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country.
Now, those are two very different charges. And look, we covered the election here on this podcast.
The opposition accused Maduro of stealing the vote. Very few Latin American countries recognized his win. The EU and the US said opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez was the real winner.
So calling him illegitimate is one thing. But is there any evidence to support Maduro being this involved in the drug trade?
Now, it's complicated. I think we should start by saying that there is enough evidence that there is a large system of corruption inside Venezuela, which is one of the most corrupt countries in the world by all international.
But, yes, who would have thought a South American dictator, all right, it has illegal ties and is corrupt with drug money. Wow, fucking breaking fucking news. Never thought I would have seen it before. Okay, anyways. Why the fuck are we sending billions of dollars of military equipment to, and our soldiers and our sailors? Why are we sending them to the region to potentially come into conflict with either a military or a paramilitary drug cartel, where we would have to engage in exchange fire and possibly injure and unalive each other? Why would we put ourselves in that position? It's like, okay, so you have a dictator. All right, y'all need to work out that. We have to fucking work out the dictator in our country. Like, why is this happening?
Organization ranking corruption. There is no doubt that many military officials have been participating or benefiting by the fact that Venezuela has become an important transit nation for cocaine in particular. But so far, there is no smoking gun that there is a mafia organization, a cartel of the type that we think when we think of the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico operating out of Venezuela. We know that some high-level officials, political officials, have also been allegedly involved in benefiting from this trafficking inside the country, from the former vice president to the current interior minister, and that the US have accused Maduro of also benefiting from that. But now the US administration have gone further, essentially saying that Maduro could be behind including the flow of fentanyl in the United States. And there is no proof of that. But at the same time, we've seen the US now increasing the bounty on President Nicolas Maduro's head from 25 to 50 million US dollar and portraying it.
$50 million reward on a South American president's arrest. We're so cooked.
Him as this sort of mafia leader.
He is one of the largest narco traffickers in the world and a threat to our national security. Therefore, we've doubled his reward to $50 million.
So that's one thing, even if there's not a great proof about that. And then, of course, the U.S. also considers Maduro a dictator at this point. There is no doubt that Venezuela at this point is less than democratic, but there's not a clear connection between the two things, and also no clear evidence that they are operating as a cartel.
So what has been the reaction from Maduro to this military buildup?
Well, Maduro has immediately responded as a threat to his country. He's seeing this as not only as stepping up interdiction of drugs, but a real threat.
I mean, yeah, we're a military threat off the coast of his country, threatening invasions and have a bounty on his head. Like, what the fuck? We are literally a threat to his national security and to his person. Like, Jesus.
Of overtaking his country.
What they're threatening to do against Venezuela: regime change, a military terrorist attack, is immoral, criminal, and illegal.
He has used some very strong words accusing the U.S. of imperial intentions, of wanting to produce regime change through a military intervention in Venezuela. He also announced the deployment of 4